Hello everyone, it's another video on STRC. It's been a lot of talk about STRC lately, so I just wanted to review this one. And a lot of people have been calling it a Ponzi scheme. So especially most notoriously the CoffeeZilla versus the guy from Strive. I think his name was John. So, what is STRC and how do they make their money? So, is this product or investment right for you? So, you can substitute STRC for MSTR or Bitcoin and cold storage. You have to ask yourself, what is your risk tolerance and what is your time horizon? In the past, you would meet with your financial advisor, and now you come up with a plan, or you check that box on your brokerage, say I'm high or medium or low risk. Now with AI or internet, you can pretty much do it yourself. Be your own financial advisor, not financial advice, by the way. So you can just ask yourself simple questions. And STR works on the principle of arbitrage. Like Buffett said, give a man a fish, and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man how to arbitrage, and he'll feed himself forever. So that's what Saylor's doing. He's doing simple arbitrage. So he bets on Bitcoin, and he gives you something else that will arbitrage at a lower value. And pay at a lower value, he collects the difference and buys Bitcoin with the rest. So SDR is a project where strategy arbitrages the value Bitcoin return versus a variable dividend return that he sets. So strategy buys and holds Bitcoin and prints MSTR, STRC, whatever other products they want to, and pays you a dividend for holding the shares. And MSTR, you don't get a dividend at all. You just get the upside. And to hope that there will be a kind of a what they call it, like a increase in the overall growth of MSTR in proportion to Bitcoin. So what is it? It is a perpetually preferred equity. So this is straight from Google here. So perpetually preferred stock is a type of equity security. There's no maturity date, saying the fixed dividends as long as the company exists. So it operates as a hybrid, combining bond-like consistent income with equity-like ownership. So that's why they always compare it to bonds, because they set the dividend and they'll pay the dividend for as long as the company exists. So if a strategy exists for another 100 years, they'll pay that for another 100 years. So it's more for income investors, and gives yields similar to bonds, or in the same range as bonds. And it's a corporate financing. So they're issuing shares at the market of these STRC shares, and then they are traditionally higher yield than traditional bonds. So it's often used by banks to boost tier one capital. So that's why he always compares it to the bank, to other perpetual preferreds, like from any bank, Chase, Morgan Stanley. So it's more of a defensive position, offers a higher claim on assets than a common stock during liquidation. You always see the, let's check down my here, it's the strategy, MSTR, STRC, and all these ones are higher up in the capital stack. There's Bitcoin they hold in their balance sheet. So, and redemption mechanism is often callable at the company preferred dates. So it acts as a soft maturity. So you don't actually get your money back, you just sell your shares back into the market to get your money back. So like a bond or GIC, just collapses at the maturity date, you just get your cash back and it's done. You own for 10, 15, 20, 40 years, whatever, and just get your cash back in at a time. It doesn't, you just kind of like sell it when you want to get rid of it. So that's why Saylor always compares STRC to a bond. So you have to ask, what is a bond? And why do you want to hold a bond instead of perpetually preferred? A bond comes from the name, so I guess the money is locked up. So a bond, but not technically locked up anymore. So it's just a fixed income loan made with the investor and the borrower, typically a government or corporation. When you buy a bond, any money is exchanged regular interest. So it's not actually locked up. They actually give that money to the corporation and do what they want with it, and they lock it up, and they pay you regular interest for a period of time, and at the maturity date, they give you back that that money, the principal it's called. So it's more like a debt obligation. So they provide income stream, usually paid semi-annually. And it's usually a debt instrument. So you don't have ownership in the company, just have ownership in the debt. So that's why I often called it STRC, digital credit. Although it's not actually digital credit, it's more like digital equity, which he calls MSTR. So it's kind of a halfway between digital credit and digital equity. We don't have actual, it's not like actual bond where you have this actual debt. So a bond is always at the top of the capital stack. So if you look at this, so a bond would be right on top here. So they'll get paid out first in the So in the case of bankruptcy. And so as a risk concern, bonds are generally considered lower risk and less volatile than stocks. It's a default risk I was talking about earlier. So if you're failing to pay, they can pay you, not pay you at the end. That's the default risk. Or the company just goes bankrupt. That's another default risk. They just don't pay you. They stop paying interest. And then, so issuers are commonly federal government, provincial governments, municipalities, corporations. And usually the yield goes up. Usually lowest is federal government. So you buy your bond. It's like, I guess it's pretty, that's why you call it the lowest from the government. So it's called the risk-free rate, because the government can technically always print money and pay you back. So that's why it's called risk-free. And usually for corporations, it's usually higher. Municipalities higher yield, because they usually have to borrow money or get money from operations. So for equity investors, Saylor says just invest in MSTR. So what is a stock? So a stock, from Google as well. So it's just an equity, represents a fractional ownership of a company. And you have no, so your ownership, you just own a piece of that company. So MSTR, you own an actual piece of strategy and the actual piece of the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So preferred stock generally does not include voting rights. So common stock, and you have voting rights. You can actually vote and stuff. And they're usually listed on a stock exchange. So, and usually the way you make money is capital gains. So that's the only way you make money through MSTR. So you have to compare this. So nothing's guaranteed in stocks. They can go to the actual value of the stock certificate, which is I think 0.1 cents or something like that. So they can volatile, can bump around, and it's only worth what you can sell in the open market. Whereas, I guess a bond, you have actual claim to that debt. And it's like supposed to be locked up, whereas it not actually is. Whereas Bitcoin, it's a decentralized currency that you actually hold in a decentralized way. So it has, this is from Google, has all these, but what is it exactly? Peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So to invest in MSTR, you should have good knowledge of what a bond is, what a stock is, or stretch. Invest in MSTR, stretch. Good knowledge of what a bond is, a stock is, or Bitcoin is. And it's unlikely the average retail investor has a good grasp of these three. And often that's why the perception of the Ponzi scheme, because Saylor is pretty accurate with his marketing. But if you don't have a good understanding, you're misled. You might call it, oh, they're not actually cash flows, but they are earning the cash flow in Bitcoin. So it pays out a yield above the Fed-free, risk-free rate. So that's the whole point of this. So you get a higher yield to attract investors, which it clearly says. 11.5 is above 3.5 in fiat terms. So this is like from a few weeks ago. You still get 11.5 risk-free rate. This directly compares, and you get your direct when you buy your STRC at. So it's all clearly stated here in the company's website. That's what you get. That's what you buy. That's what you compare it to. You don't have an underlying claim on the Bitcoin. And so cash preferred, payable monthly in cash. So you got a lower volatility than Bitcoin itself, 3.1%. over 30 days. And that's what you're pretty much banking on. Just that lower volatility and Saylor performing the arbitrage for you. And just paying you out this fixed 11.5%. and you should have $100 at the end of the next month. So he just keeps it pegged. So what are the key risks with STRC? There's a lot of risks. And maybe that's why people don't understand. It's the main risk is, I don't think we'll pay the dividend. But yeah, that's one of the risks, but a lot of other risks as well. So the key man risks are risk, the Saylor himself, or the CEO, Fong, or whatever his name is, cease to believe in Bitcoin and sells his personal stash, or Saylor just dies if something happens to Saylor. Equity risk. So you don't hold the keys like you do in Bitcoin, just hold your stocks. So they sit on brokerage. I think everyone's familiar with that. Corporation risk. The company could go bankrupt as change its mission other than to focus on Bitcoin Treasury, sell their entire stack. Don't know if that's the risk of the corporation. This whole doesn't work out and go bankrupt. Dividend risk. The company can completely cut their dividend or lower it. Yeah, volatility risks. Would be a lot of sellers and sell all these instruments. The price could drop below 100. And there's also Bitcoin volatility risk. So Bitcoin trades around. You can sell lower, sell higher. That's why you try to cut out risk. But if Bitcoin goes down by a lot and stays down, and then these instruments can be severely impaired. That's also Bitcoin risk. So this way you try to get rid of by holding this kind of private product. But it's also a risk to the stretch. Like flash crash and that kind of stuff. It also drives the price of the underlying stretch down. So underlying risk of Bitcoin staying down or network failing. So opportunity cost risk, there are better opportunities than stretch out there, including Bitcoin itself. Inflation risks, the risk that the underlying dollars are debased. Loss risk, strategy can lose their coins. Brian Armstrong can misplace his ledger and lose his keys somehow. Or whoever is held in this third party, whoever the third party custodian is, in the future loses their coins. Time risk, you cannot sell on weekends. You're limited to trade within trading hours, unlike Bitcoin. Currency risk, your exchange rate per US dollar to your local currency goes down, or you lose in local currency. Paper Bitcoin risk, strategy doesn't disclose the addresses of their purchased coins. So are they actually buying real Bitcoin? Just getting a claim on Coinbase's ledger. You don't know that. So could be maybe it doesn't actually have the Bitcoin. Maybe it's only buying paper Bitcoin. Theft risk. People can steal Coinbase's or strategies depending on their custody solution. Coins through $5 wrench attacks, hacks, or scams. So you have to compare yourself for the benefits. You get a fixed dollar in income dollars. You get $11 or $11.5 for every $100 you put in. That's also tax deferred income. So and available entities that cannot hold Bitcoin. Easier to explain Bitcoin. It's more like a dividend stock or a bond. But lower in the capital stack than a bond. So to compare these risks to Bitcoin and cold storage. So the same underlying risk of Bitcoin, same risk of losing your coins, but it's probably less what do you call it, surface area. It's just gonna attack you other than Coinbase, Saylor. That's also the people who work at Coinbase or work at MicroStrategy who can also leak their coins. So probably less of a surface, attack surface. So loss risk, well probably you can lose your coins for your passphrase or lose your seed word or pins. It's the same already here up above. So, and also Bitcoin can trade around, will crash, go up and down. That's also here, but it tries to mitigate here. So opportunity cost risk. So there's probably maybe better opportunities in the stock market. So the risks of Bitcoin and cold storage is a lot less than the risk of, well, yeah, I guess like 61 2 attack is also risk, is that risk. Or that's also, and you don't have that. So put that one in there. So just because it's on an exchange, if they were to hold in cold storage, then on their own cold storage, and so they can do the 61, the government can just take claim of their coins. So, and 61 2 attack, where that's not here. So there's a lot longer risks of just compared to Bitcoin and cold storage. So when you ask yourself, like, do I want to hold stretch? Can I just buy Bitcoin directly or not? What's my opportunity cost and my time horizon? I say your time horizon's longer. Like Saylor always mentions this. Your time horizon's longer than 4 years. You just buy the Bitcoin directly. Because anything can happen in the 4 years or 1 year timeline, but we got a longer time horizon, just buy the Bitcoin. So these are good for maybe emergency or short-term savings that you just want to earn interest on. You know, like, and if you're okay with not holding these in the funds in a self-sovereign way, because on a brokerage could get shut down, lose access to your account, or a government doesn't want to give you access to your account anymore, and you lose access to your wealth. So, and yeah, we can just go over the projections. I made a new projection now that for strategy, since Michael Saylor is going to pay a dividend with the coins. So this is the dividend value in Bitcoins going forward, based on my projections. Still, we'll still get a large percentage of supply. So this is just 35%, 7 million coins. That's the base. This is the same underlying 25% share growth. Bitcoin growth at 45%. For the bull, it gets up to 16 million coins. Bitcoin growing at these rates over the years. And bear, Bitcoin growing at 20%, 15% rate. And we're still getting a lot more coins. but you still pay all these dividends in Bitcoin. And the power law, you only get to 64% of the total supply. And you'll pay, it's almost similar, Bitcoin's maybe more. But it doesn't really change the amount of Bitcoins that you'll get over the next few years. It just keeps on buying. Maybe even he sells 100% of the dividend out, just out of the Bitcoin to pay for the dividends. Still, he just grows his total number of coins, and the MicroStrategy offers quite a huge percentage of supply. Thank you. If you found any value in this video, please like, subscribe, or zap me some stats. AndreAversfall.com. Hello. One thing I forgot to mention, you can join the Visionaries or join Make with Bitcoin. You guys have a lot of great information. Feel free to join either of these two. They have a free trial on their school. Thank you.